that every month. They believe we forward it to the body and to others as well.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you for being here. We will send some additional questions in writing. And this has been a topic this is the second time in this committee we've looked into this issue, and we can definitely do that in the future as well. So thank you all committee members for your engagement. So with that, I will close an informational meeting on elections, and I'll open a public hearing on House Bill 3012. Representative Neron, welcome. I think Representative Choatson and Senator Sollman, are you on this one as well? We'll hand it over to you. I'm asking everyone to keep it very brief. And while you're getting ready, Melissa will read a summary.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, House Bill 3012 permits an individual who is 16 or 17 years of age and is registered to vote to cast a ballot in school district elections that occur on or after January 1, 2027. There's a -1 amendment that changes the effective date to January 1, 2029.
So we'll start with this panel, Representative Yunker and Representative Oreschke, you'll be next, and then we will alternate moving forward.
Thank you so much, Chair Bowman, Vice Chair Drazen, and members of the House Committee on Rules. For the record, I'm Courtney Neron, State Representative for House District 26, and thank you for hearing the Student Voice and Democracy Act, House Bill 3012. This bill, as you heard, will allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in their local school board elections, giving students a voice in their education and strengthening our democracy. 16 and 17-year-olds are thoughtful and deeply care about their communities. Many are active and eager to have their voices heard, and you'll hear them today, I hope. Student voices matter, and student experiences, needs, and concerns should inform district policies and school board priorities. I'm going to shorten my testimony significantly so we can hear from more students, but I do want to take a moment to congratulate schools like Grant High School, who earned first place in the nationwide We the People civics competition in 2024, and emphasize that Oregon has made significant strides in offering civics education. In 2021, we passed Senate Bill 513, requiring students to complete at least a half credit of civics to graduate, and can I
finish your thoughts, yeah.
and Senate Bill 702, which emphasizes civics education, including voting rights and how to vote in local government roles. I'll shorten my testimony to say that this bill isn't about swaying elections, but about encouraging civic engagement and providing real-world civics education at a time when it is desperately needed. I believe it's essential to teach youth the value of democracy and how to vote. 16 is not too young to make educated decisions, and no one knows the needs of a school better than those directly involved: educators, parents, and students. Creating a culture of participation in democracy can start in high school, and we need to do everything we can to strengthen our democracy and teach young people that their participation is essential for its success. Healthy habits formed early are likely to last a lifetime. I urge your support of House Bill 3012 and the student vote for this, the Student Voice and Democracy Act, and I'll put my full remarks on OLIS. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Bowman, Vice Chair Pham, Vice Chair Drazen, and members of the committee. My name is Willie Choatson, State Representative, House District 46, Southeast Portland. I testify here as a parent and also a former public school teacher. As a public school teacher, I facilitated our student council meetings. I trained students to be peer mediators and restorative justice facilitators. I encouraged my students to write to their local leaders and use what they were learning in school to actually engage with their community. And my two takeaways from that work, first, are that young people are far wiser and more thoughtful and more mature than we often give them credit for. And secondly, that when we empower young people, when we give them responsibility, that is when we bring out their best. So if we want an active, engaged, and responsible set of Oregonians of the future, we can do that by encouraging them to learn civics and to engage in democracy, not just in the classroom, but at the ballot box. This is a powerful educational tool. Secondly, I'm here testifying and supporting this bill because better decisions are made when all voices are represented. It is worth celebrating that this body is more representative than it was 50 years ago, and the decisions we make disproportionately impact young people. That is even more true for our school boards. And so we can not just empower young people to be engaged in democracy, but we can actually reach better decisions by including the voices of those who understand the decisions that school boards are making most closely. I urge your support of this bill.
Here we go. Good morning, Chair Bowman, Vice Chair Drazen, Vice Chair Pham, and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Janeen Sollman. I represent Senate District 15, Forest Grove, Cornelius, Hillsborough, and the Rock Creek area of Washington County. I'm here in support of House Bill 3012. As a former school board member of the Hillsborough School District, I understand the ripple effect that board members' votes and actions how they can directly impact our schools and our students in our classrooms. A school board is is not only essential for school systems to function properly, but also the responsibility of appropriately representing the interests of all students for their need and their right to thrive in school. I love seeing growing student representation on our school boards. It was something I advocated for years when I was on the school board in Hillsborough. Our youth are actively watching and listening to the choices that we make that affect their future and voicing their perspective. Having high school students voice their position with their vote is powerful and can increase political and civil engagement. I have worked with many students as high school interns and policy advocates, helping pass incredible policy for the state of Oregon. Our students are doing amazing things. They're building robots and crushing it at robotic events, slaying civic competitions, building, designing, and marketing houses, catering events through their culinary programs, running small businesses like our teen entrepreneurial program through the Washington County Chamber. Students inspire me each and every day. I will submit the rest of my testimony in writing, and I just strongly urge your support of House Bill 3012. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very, very good. Thank you all for keeping your testimony brief. I appreciate it, and sorry for the time crunch. With that, I'm going to call up Representative Juncker, Representative Reschke. After Representative Juncker and Reschke, I will call up Adrian Anderson and Rebecca Gladstone, who are both neutral, and then we'll alternate.
My first?
Yep.
Chair Bowman, Vice Chairs Drazen and Pham. My name is Representative Dwayne Juncker of House District 3. As a father of 4 adult children, I would consider myself someone who knows something about 16-year-old children. I also could tell you many stories I've heard from my son, who is a high school counselor. Let's just say this, they're not good. There's good reasons why we still consider them children. 6-year-olds do not have the emotional maturity or life experience to make informed decisions on complex issues. Voting is a serious responsibility, and younger teens lack the necessary understanding of the political landscape and its long-term consequences. Studies suggest that decision-making and critical thinking continue to develop through adolescence. People do not fully mature until their early 20s. Lowering the voting age to 16 years old does not have the cognitive abilities to weigh in the implications of their votes properly. Young individuals may not be as informed about political issues, policies, and candidates running for office. This could result in voting decisions based on trends, peer influence, rather than deep understanding of the issues at hand. Teenagers may be successful of emotional and peer-driven influence when making decisions, voting based on immediate emotions or social pressures, rather than thoughtful reflection on the issues could be seen as a problem. In the United States, 6-year-olds are not legally allowed to take other adults' responsibilities, such as drinking alcohol, signing contracts, getting married without parental consent, and there's even a bill right now in the Senate to raise it to 18 years old. Progressives are always crying about assaults on our democracy, yet they're with this bill, which actually is, the bill expands the voting to minors, handing more political power to kids who can't even rent a car, let alone understand the long-term consequences of their vote. If this is an attempt to rig elections in their favor, I don't know what is.
Representative, please speak to your own position on the bill and not to other people's opinions on the bill.
Okay. And who's behind this nonsense? 2 activist groups, Next Up and Unite Oregon, not exactly neutral players. Next Up Victory Fund is a political machine built to elect far-left candidates funded by the same national figures who push radical policies like Ilhan Omar, Stacey Abrams, and Women's March leadership. They exist to manufacture a pipeline of progressive politicians. Then there's Unite Oregon, an organization that lobbies to defund police, hand out taxpayer dollars for climate justice, and help pass Measure 110.
Representative, your remarks need to be germane to the bill that we're hearing today, which is about allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to vote.
They are. They're pushing this.
You're talking about other people and what their organizations do or don't
Aren't they
do.
the sponsor of this bill too?
There's a lot of folks who are registered to testify. I'm going to ask you to wrap up your remarks in the next few seconds.
I leave you to this, since I can't talk about others. There's 7 people that sponsored this bill to raise it, to lower it to 16, but the same 7 people want to raise marriage to 18 years old. If you're not old enough to get married till 18, why are you old enough to vote at 16? Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Reschke.
Thank you. And Somebody left their cell phone here, and as a mandatory reporter, I'm obligated to.
I think your colleague is
Somebody
coming to get
left
from
it
you.
here. There you go. Thank you. Absolutely. I know what it's like not to be without that. For the record, my name is E. Werner Reschke. I'm the state representative from House District 55, which includes the best parts of Klamath and Deschutes County, except for Bend. We'll make an exception for this committee. Bend's equally great. I'm opposed to this bill for a few reasons. One, I recently glanced at a survey of Oregonians asking whether we were on the right track or wrong track. And a majority of Oregonians said we're on the wrong track. And when they listed out their concerns, it was cost of living, homelessness, education, taxes, et cetera. But what wasn't on that list was changing the age to vote. And my stance is no disrespect to 16 and 17-year-olds. I'm a former member of that clan, and I remember what it's like to be there, and I'm happy and excited about their civic engagement. But this is about treating adults like adults and minors like minors. The plain truth to me is that voting is a privilege for adult citizens. I'll conclude by saying in 2019, I voted yes on Senate Bill 1008, a very controversial bill that was about Measure 11 sentencing requirements. That bill bifurcated 15, 16, and 17-year-olds with a different set of sentencing guidelines from adults. And there was great analysis and debate on the floor because brain development isn't there for those younger folks. You might want to watch the debate. It's kind of interesting, kind of fun. But my point is that those under 18 should not be treated as adults. And I'm going to leave you with a syllogism, and a syllogism is 3 statements. If the first 2 are true, then by logic and reason, the third one is absolutely true. Those under 18 are not adults. Voting is a privilege for adults. Therefore, those under 18 should not vote. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Representative. Adrian Anderson, I'll call you forward, and Rebecca Gladstone is on Zoom.
Good morning, Chair Bowman, members of the committee. My name is Adrian Anderson. I represent the Oregon School Boards Association, where we represent all 197 school districts in the state. We are neutral on this bill, and our main concern is the funding piece. So I reached out to the county clerks, and they submitted written testimony online, which I encourage you all to read. But some of the questions I had were, is this going to cost school districts, or do school districts currently pay for the ballots when they are on the ballot for an election? The answer was yes. I asked them if it would cost extra for the separate ballots, because 16 and 17-year-olds would get that separate ballot that everyone else wouldn't get, and they said yes. And I asked them about the additional costs that would be associated with printing and counting the extra ballot. And they said there would be additional costs for printing, programming, postage, election boards, and additional cost for double checking the signature requirements. And so they sent me a lot of data that we're going to be sending to our business officials to make sure that, if it's a de minimis cost, then that's one thing. But if it's going to be a lot more to our school districts, we want to make sure that there's a fiscal on it.
Thank you. We have a quick question from our
Yes.
Vice Chair, if that's okay.
And thank you for being here.
Yep.
So I wondered that. I didn't hear from anybody who's running this, who's paying for this, how do we afford this? So you're neutral today. Is it because you don't have back answers to those questions? Because I've heard an awful lot from people about school funding right now. And so I'm trying to understand, are you neutral today because you don't know the fiscal, or will the fiscal make a difference on your position?
Chair Bowman, Vice Chair Drazen, we're neutral regardless. The fiscal is just something that I wanted to raise for the committee, and we haven't gotten those numbers back yet. But, because this is school board elections and I do represent all 197 school districts, we are just neutral on the bill in general.
Thank you.
Ms. Gladstone. Can you hear us, Ms. Gladstone?
She's still muted.
You're muted.
How's that?
There we go. Perfect.
Great. Chair Bowman, committee members, Rebecca Gladstone here for the League of Women Voters of Oregon. Filed testimony abridged here. See the May 2024 U.S. map where 17-year-olds voted. We're neutral to a specific voting age, but 33,000 Oregon students voted in our mock elections last fall. Learning to vote in school really helps. We've worked for decades with the Oregon Secretary of State and Department of Education, supported by Wayne Morse Center, the Oregon Capital Foundation, and grants from Oregon Humanities and National Endowment for the Humanities. Our civics curriculum has lessons for Oregon political parties, closed primaries, ranked choice votings, and a lesson plan for each election. We're grade level adjusted civics education curriculum. We are poised to continue helping. Thank you for taking comments remotely.
Thank you, Becky. Appreciate it. With that, I'll call up Jacia, Nalani, Devin, and Javier. And while they're coming up, the next panel will be Anna Munson and Jessica Davidson and Janice Deisinger.
Chair Bowman, Vice Chair Drazen, Vice Chair Pham, and members of the committee. My name is Jasia Mosley, and I'm the policy manager with Next Up Action Fund. For over 20 years, our organization has built political power with young people to achieve a more just and equitable Oregon. We are here today in strong support of House Bill 3012. I graduated high school in 2019 and was an enthusiastic student athlete, involved in many clubs, and excited to engage in my local community. Unfortunately, my high school experience ended up being extremely difficult because myself and many other peers who were also Black students were bullied due to rampant bias in our school. When the situation was ignored for so long by our administration and school board that I had to transfer schools, I also found out another ugly truth, that the bullying issues I faced in the first school were also present in my new one. Unfortunately, my situation is not unique. I'll be quick. Students have firsthand experiences that deserve to be addressed, and we have the opportunity in front of us to make that a reality with House Bill 3012. A dozen jurisdictions across the U.S. already allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote, and additionally, 19 states allow 17-year-olds to vote in primary elections if they're 18 by the general election, thus demonstrating that this age bracket is well equipped to vote in local school board elections. We urge you all to pass House Bill 3012 this session so that 16 and 17-year-olds across Oregon can have a seat at the table, graduate with the skills to be civically engaged in our democracy, and embrace the power of their voices for years to come. Thank you.
Chair Bowman, Vice Chairs Drazen and Pham, and members of the committee, my name is Nalani Maheswaran. I'm a high school student from Portland and a co-founder of Vote 16 Oregon, a student-led movement to expand voting rights. I'm here today to testify in support of House Bill 3012. I chair the Beaverton Mayor's Youth Advisory Board and recently hosted a youth summit with 60 students. Many shared feeling powerless as school board decisions like redistricting, program cuts, large class sizes, and understaffed counseling negatively impacted them. Students are the primary constituents of our school boards. We spend 7 hours every day at school, yet these critical needs persist even when we need adults to take action most. We want to stand with our schools as united communities, and we want to engage and work with our teachers and board members on these issues. But that can't happen until we're given a seat at the table. I myself drive, work, pay taxes. I'm in this room today, and I'm 17. If students can take on these responsibilities, we can be entrusted with the right to vote too. By allowing youth to elect their representatives, this bill fulfills the promise of our democracy. I urge you to pass HB 3012 so students like me can show up to a learning environment that understands and addresses our needs and makes it clear our input in our own education is valuable and powerful. Thank you.
Dear Chair Bowman, Vice Chairs Drazen and Pham, and esteemed members of the House Committee on Rules. My name is Javier Quintana. I'm 17 years old, and I come from Phoenix, Oregon. Today I stand before you to express my strong support for House Bill 3012. I've seen firsthand the power of student advocacy and how much of a difference it makes when young people are given a platform to share their experiences and concerns. I've had the privilege to serve on my local school board and also been elected to the Oregon School Board Association and National School Board Association to talk on rural schools and advocacy, and also giving voice opinions of all those students. And I've been able to see the challenges that all students face. And although advocacy is great, the next best step is to allow students to have an impact on the world by granting them votes to write, granting them votes, rights to vote. It increases engagement and, above all, prepares students for active participation. Communities that have already adopted this have seen the change of how they have had higher voting turnout rates. And above all, it allows them to have the opportunity to be more informed and step up to being active members of their community. So this will lead to a generation of more informed people ready to make an impact on the world around them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anna, Jessica, and Janice. We'll do our in-person testimony first, and then we'll go to the remote testimony.
Okay, either way. Go ahead. Good morning, Chair Bowman, Chair Drazen, Vice Chair Drazen, Vice Chair Pham, and committee. My name is Anna Munson, and I'm speaking in opposition of HB 3012. In the Constitution, the requirements for voting in elections are A, to be a citizen in any state, and B, to be 18 years old. This age requirement is there for a reason. This is the age in which a person is responsible for their own actions. Many kids are not willing or even curious about the complexities of how the school that they attend functions. If a youth gets in trouble with the law, they are not treated as an adult. They are with the full brunt of consequences of their actions. They are adjudicated by a juvenile court, a separate more lenient court which considers their actions. Do you really want a 16-year-old who's playing high school sports, living at home, rent-free, dependent on their parents for their allowance and their living needs, to decide who's going to run a multi-million-dollar school board which hires thousands of individuals, employees, and they do not have the experience. And so I ask that you not vote for HB 3012. Thank you.
Jessica, then Janice.
Good morning, Chair Bowman, Vice Chair Drazen, and Vice Chair Pham, and committee members. I strongly oppose House Bill 3012. Kids younger than 18 aren't mature enough to be voting and participating in elections. Social scientists Tak Wing Chong and Matthew Clayton say that 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds wouldn't be competent voters because research in neuroscience suggests that the brain, specifically the frontal cortex, is still undergoing major reconstruction and development during these teenage years. They add that the prefrontal cortex is what enables us to weigh dilemmas, balance trade-offs, and in short, make reasonable decisions in politics. The 18 to 29-year-old age group has also extremely low voter turnout, suggesting that people aren't ready to vote until later in life. Studies show that in a midterm election in 2018, that only 23% of this age group participated, and that was down by more than 28%. Moreover, only 23% of students scored at above the proficient level on the last National Assessment of Educational Progress test of civics, knowledge, and skills. Another important bit of information is that the vast majority of Americans of all ages and political views agree that 16-year-olds should not be given the right to vote. There's been polls by Hill Harris found that 84% of registered voters opposed lowering the age to 16. And also a different survey found only 8% support for lowering the voting to age 16, 45% wanted to keep it at 18, and 46% would like to raise it back to 21. A Twitter poll by WJLA and the ABC News affiliate in Washington, D.C. found that just 18% support for a proposed bill to lower the voting age in the District of Columbia compared to 77% against. So statistics show that 16 and 17-year-olds are not ready to vote. Thank you for your time. I urge a no vote on 3012. Thank you.
Janice.
Thank you. My name's Janice Dysinger. Chair Bowman, Vice Chair Drazen, and Vice Chair Pham, thank you for letting me speak today. I am opposed to House Bill 3012, and my main concern is the citizenship status of the voters. I noticed in the bill that the citizenship is not even mentioned, and we need to make sure that all of our voters are truly citizen, and if they don't know this rule and it's not discussed, then somebody could vote that's not a citizen or try to vote, and then they'll be prevented from becoming a citizen later on when they apply to become one if they have voted. So this is a real big concern that we make sure that people know the requirements of being a citizen to vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janice. We have a few people I'm going to try to get through very quickly. I've been equally lenient on the 1 minute for both sides. We're going to be very strict to the 1 minute so we can get as many people through as possible. Narmeen, Jorge, and is Tammy Carpenter here in person? Okay, Tammy. Oh, yeah.
Tammy, do you want to go first? Sure. Yeah. Good morning, friends. My name is Tammy Carpenter. I am on the Beaverton School Board here in my own capacity in strong support of this bill. I'm not sure if you noticed these young people that are here. These are the people that we need as voters. One of the previous speakers is a senior at Westview, skipping AP government. I'm going to write her a note to her teacher to let her know that she is excelling. I also want to acknowledge that Michelle DePass, a colleague of mine on the Portland Public School Board, had intended to be here, timing being what it is. Hopefully you can also read her notes. Our goal as stewards of this public schools is to create not only our next generation of workforce, it is also to create engaged and educated citizens. In some ways, these young people are at the height of their understanding of civics, and to have them begin this process at this young age is going to set us up so that we will have that 18 to 29 demographic voting regularly. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chair Bowman, Vice Chairs Pham and Drazen, and members of the House Rules Committee. For the record, my name is Narmeen Rashid. I'm a member of Next Up. For transparency, I would like to state that I serve as an intern for Senator Sollman, but I'm here in my capacity as an individual constituent. I am here to testify in strong support of the Student Voice and Democracy Act. As a recent graduate myself, I know the struggles that students across the nation are facing, ranging from issues like book bans to gun violence. I know that students care deeply about their future, and giving them a voice in their education is an investment in their success. If I had had this opportunity in high school, my interest in civics would have started at a younger age, and I would have felt empowered to advocate and make changes earlier. I encourage you to listen to the voices of the young people and see that they want to be engaged in our democracy. It's about giving those who are directly impacted a say and adding engaged voters and strengthening our democracy. I urge the committee and the legislature to show the young people that are watching this very minute that their voices matter and you care for them. With that, I thank the committee for its time.
Thank you very much.
Let's see if I can beat that 1 minute. Good morning, Chair Bowman, Vice Chairs Pham and Drazen, and members of the House Rules Committee. For the record, my name is Jorge Sanchez Bautista. I'm one of the 2 student advisors to the Oregon State Board of Education, but I'm here to talk to you all in my own capacity as a student leader in Portland Public Schools. We hear the argument about teenagers having the right to vote, the cognitive mind not being fully developed, possibly being influenced by parents, and more. We need to acknowledge that 16 and 17-year-olds have responsibilities. They have jobs, pay taxes, hold driver's license, and have additional responsibilities given by law and their families. All this has been considered by lawmakers in different cities throughout the United States, such as Oakland, California, and many more in Maryland. I mention all this as a public official with ethics. It's my responsibility to bring the student voice of hundreds of thousands of Oregon students to our state, whether from a big city like Oregon or a small city like Canby. That's what I do for educational policies and what I do now for House Bill 3012. I will always support youth voices in government and ask that you consider this piece of legislation. Thank you.
We have just one panel left. Kevin Sullivan, Lawan Allen, Gloria Ochoa Sandoval, Abigail Sandoval, and Kate Titus.
Abigail isn't here.
Abigail's not here. Great. And Lawan is remote.
Chair Bowman, Vice Chairs Drazen, FAM, and members of the committee. My name is Kevin Sullivan, for the record, and I'm a public affairs consultant at the Oregon Education Association, which represents 38,000 employees across the state. I'm here in support of House Bill 3012. You may know that at the end of last year, there was a strike in Albany. What you may not know is that students in that city were very involved in helping their teachers during that time. These students marched with us, they walked the picket line with us, and they even wore their union swag in solidarity during their football game. These students in Albany care about their community, and it's not just students in Albany, it's students across the state that care about their community. In fact, there are 50,000 16 and 17-year-olds who are already pre-registered to vote, and they're just waiting for the opportunity to make their voices heard. Every Oregonian deserves to have a voice in the elected leaders who make decisions about their communities. Educators and staff at K-12 schools get to vote for their school board members. Why shouldn't students be able to as well? Students are the primary recipients of the services provided by the school, and their experiences, needs, and concerns should inform district policy. We talk about centering student voices all the time. This is another way we can do that. I urge your support.
Hello, members of the committee. Can you hear me? My name's Kate Titus, and I'm here representing Common Cause, which is a nonpartisan organization that works to realize the full promise of democracy. I want to start by just acknowledging that there are differences of opinion about who's really qualified to vote. And there are some doubts that many adults over 18 do not have the maturity to handle that responsibility. In these polarized times, no matter where each of us stands politically, we may have moments where we doubt the reasoning skills of some of our fellow voters. It's easy to convince ourselves that we ourselves are smart voters, while others may not be fully engaged or equipped for this responsibility. Excuse me. Of course, there were times in our history when people argued that women were not capable to vote, when people of different races were not capable to vote, and even at the founding that people who didn't own property were not. But as we've come to believe more in the democracy that we profess, we've gradually expanded the franchise. And I've run out of time. I'll just close by saying that Common Cause is here standing as part of the coalition for this bill, and we support this bill fully, and we hope you do too. Thank you.
You can submit your testimony on all lists and we can review it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Chair Bowman, Vice Chairs Pham and Drazen, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of House Bill 3012. My name is Gloria Ochoa Sandoval, and I am here on behalf of Unite Oregon and from a family of educators. Our organization is led by people of color, immigrants and refugees, rural communities, and people experiencing poverty. By the age of 16, many youth are working, paying taxes, driving, engaging in civic and political education, and by 17, they are able to proactively enlist to serve our military. Additionally, by the age of 16, youth have fully developed their cold cognition skills, a cognitive function that is used in voting. Cold cognition is making value-based informed decisions in low-stress environments. To the contrary, they do not have strong hot cognitive abilities, which is prefrontal cortex development, as other folks mentioned before, but this is not used in voting. We believe they deserve and are prepared to vote for school board members that make policies that directly impact their education and futures. Allowing them to vote ensures the individuals making decisions about their education are accountable to the students that they serve. Even just last week, we saw Woodburn School District and their board make a decision that was completely in contrast of what their communities asked for, and yet it passed. We ask you to empower young people to engage in civic life early and to foster lifelong participation in democracy. We urge your support for House Bill 3012. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final testimony is virtually Lawan.
Hello, everybody. Honorable Chair Bowman, members of the committee. My name is Lawan Allen. I am the director of Vote 16 USA. Vote 16 USA is a national campaign that supports efforts to extend voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds in local and state elections. I am here today to testify in strong support of the Student Voice and Democracy Act, House Bill 3012. We have an opportunity to strengthen our democracy by giving students a voice in the decisions that directly impact their education. Research demonstrates that 16 and 17-year-olds are not only capable of participating in elections, but are also highly motivated to do so. A 2020 study from Tufts University Circle found that 16 and 17-year-olds exhibit political awareness comparable to older adults, and that they are eager to engage in the democratic process when provided with an opportunity. Furthermore, countries like Austria and Scotland, which have already lowered